April the 5th, 2024, and it is a beautiful day here in South Carolina. Just want to start off today by saying, guys, I'm sorry I haven't gotten to the comments. That video yesterday, my internet was moving so slow. I don't think the video got up until almost 9 o'clock last night, and I replied to like 1 or 2 comments, and then that was it for me. It was time to go to bed, and I've just had a very, very busy day today. It's been a whirlwind. I haven't even looked at the comments from last night. This morning I took a brief look and I saw the video got quite a few views, and I would imagine there's quite a few comments saying they're waiting on me, so I'm gonna try to get to those at some point this afternoon. But I want to apologize. I just don't have time right now. It's like I said, my kids are out of school right now, and it's just been one thing after another. I've had a bunch of stuff to do today. I actually got up at 6 o'clock this morning and just been running around ever since. But want to go ahead and get today's video filmed now. It's like 1:30 right now, so hopefully I can get this video up and uploaded before 9 o'clock tonight. But I do want to go ahead and, before I get into anything, I just wanted to do a quick reminder. Tomorrow's going to be the live video at 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. I'd love to see you guys there. For any of you guys that can join, if you can't, I completely understand. I mean, it's Saturday, and I understand people have things going on. But for any of you guys who have some free time, I mean, there's no need to have to stick around the whole time. Just hop in and say hello. I'd love to see you guys. It's just an opportunity for us to talk in real time. You know, it's not a comment that you leave and then, you know, I get to it when I can. I mean, you can ask me whatever you want in real time. And like I said, I'd love to see you guys there. But anyway, let's go ahead and talk about today's video. Like I said yesterday, I was going to make a part 2 because there was just way too much to cover in yesterday's video. It already gotten to like 30-something minutes, and I had to stop it. I know there's only but so much time people can watch a video, so I figured I'd do a part 2 today. And like I said, I've talked about some of this stuff in the past, but you know, with all the new subscribers to the channel, I wanted to go ahead and recover these things again. And talk about the symptoms that I noticed before I had my diagnosis, some things I noticed after my diagnosis, just basically just things that have come along with my cirrhosis diagnosis. You know, just give you guys somewhat of an idea of the things that I've been through, and maybe it could be something, you know, if you have any signs of these, you know, you might want to go see a doctor. But I just figured it'd be good for us to talk about this today. You know, the reason one of the reasons I wanted to talk about this again is, one, like I said yesterday, I felt horrible. I haven't felt very good today either. I have just been so nauseated the past couple of days. And that's just part of what comes along with this. I mean, I get nauseous every day. But some days it's just almost unbearable. And it just will not go away. I get these like really bad headaches. I get super nauseous, and it doesn't matter what I do. And there's some days I just have to lay in the bed all day because it just won't go away. The nausea, I'll take my nausea medication, and first of all, the nausea medication makes me extremely sleepy. But you know, on top of that, sometimes it just doesn't work all that great. There's a couple different types that I'm prescribed. There's one that's a sublingual that I put underneath my tongue. It dissolves. I don't really care for that one that much. If any of you guys are, you know, dealing with any of this stuff, I think, and you're dealing with constant nausea, I take the onidestrin, the 8 milligram, I think it is, in the pill form. I found that one to be the best one for nausea. The one that you put underneath your tongue, I think it's a little bit less of the medication. You know, when you take it sublingually, it's supposed to work quicker. But the only thing I've found with that too is that it leaves a really strange aftertaste in your mouth that won't go away. And that kind of adds to the nausea because you just got this funky taste in your mouth that you can't get it out after that pill dissolves. So I just don't care for those. But if you're dealing with nausea, a couple of things that I found that work really well for me. It might not work for you, but I figured I'd just talk about them real quick. Like I said, I take the onidestrin, and as soon as I start feeling it coming on, I don't wait until it gets to where it's like so bad that I can't even think right. As soon as I start feeling the nausea, I go ahead and take one of my nausea pills. I'd rather be sleepy than deal with the nausea. But a couple other things, ginger ale has always worked really well for me. And I drink the zero sugar one, the Seagram's ginger ale in the cans, the zero sugar. Those really, really have a lot of ginger in them, and I have found those to be the best ones. There's a bunch of different ginger ales out there. There used to be one that was made here in South Carolina, and I can't remember the name of it. I'm pretty sure it was made in Colombia. Oh my gosh, that one right there. It came in a glass bottle. It was like $10 for a 6-pack, but there was so much ginger in that. Man, that stuff worked so well, but I can't find it anymore. I think it's called like Fleischmann's, maybe. I don't know. But like I said, ginger ale, the onidestrin, cold compresses on the head, taking a cold shower, laying down, having a fan blowing on you, because a lot of times when I get nauseous, I do get kind of hot. But that, and not trying to eat anything solid, something like chicken broth or something like that, or chicken noodle soup often will help ease my stomach. Peppermints work really well for me too. I get it's the little white mints. I get the zero sugar ones. They're the Lifesaver ones that come individually wrapped. Those really, really help with my nausea, on top of the ginger ale and all that stuff. But I carry mints around with me wherever I go. The mints really do ease my stomach. But anyway, let's go ahead and get back into the symptoms, the signs and symptoms that I dealt with my diagnosis. Fatigue and weakness. That's something that I started noticing before my diagnosis happened. And like I said, I had my own business, which was a very physically demanding job. And I just started noticing that I was getting really, really tired, a lot quicker than normal. And I just could tell that I didn't have the muscle strength that I had before. I could just tell that I was just really weak and tired. But the thing is that, all that time I'm thinking to myself, I'm just hungover. Which, so many of these symptoms kind of mimic hangover symptoms. So, a lot of times, I was tricking myself into thinking, I'm just hungover, that's all it is, and that'll go away. Because, if you're hungover, of course you feel fatigue and weakness. But it started getting really bad towards the end. And that's something that also, I still deal with fatigue and weakness to this day. Another thing that I dealt with as well is shortness of breath. And it got really bad after my diagnosis. After I'd gotten sick the second time, we have a really small flight of stairs from our downstairs up to the main part of the house. I think it's maybe like 8 stairs to get up to the main part. And I spent a majority of my time downstairs in that room down there. Reason being is that our house, if you can see it from here, my house is right there. There's a huge flight of stairs that goes up to the front door. And I was always really concerned that if for some reason, that we had to have an ambulance come get me or something, that they weren't going to be able to get me out of that, going up that flight of stairs. I wanted to make it as easy as possible, because I was worried that, the ambulance was going to have to come any day to pick me up. I mean, there's no telling. So I stayed down in that bottom room because there's only a couple stairs to get up there, and I just knew it'd be a lot easier if something happened. They could get me from down there. We also have a bathroom down there, so I basically just lived down there. I put one of those little teeny refrigerators in that room. But if I ever had to walk up the flight of stairs to get to the other section of the house, I would be completely out of breath. And it was only a couple steps, and that's I used to run up and down stairs, and now, you know, not so much now, but after the second time that I got sick and then I got diagnosed with cirrhosis, just walking up those steps, I mean, I had to stop. I would walk like one step, stop, the next step I would have to stop, and I would be completely winded just walking up that little flight of stairs. I remember my wife would have to help me get up a lot of times, and I would have to stand and like brace myself up against the wall just to catch my breath, because I was so wore out just walking up like 8 steps, which was just crazy to me. Another thing that I noticed, and I've talked about this before, was my loss of muscle mass. And after the second time I got sick, I've talked about this as well. I spent about 3 months in the bed, but I completely lost all muscle mass. Every bit of muscle that I had dissipated, and I'm being dead serious about that. My legs look like toothpicks. My arms look like toothpicks. My chest, which I always had a really big chest. You could see every single one of my bones in my chest. My collarbone just protruded so much and was all sunk in right here. I looked really, really bad. And just complete. I mean, and I'm not trying to be funny here, but I had absolutely no butt at all. And I used to have like a pretty big butt, and people used to make fun of me about it. It completely gone. I mean, like I couldn't hardly keep my pants up because I had lost so much muscle mass in my rear end that my pants just wouldn't even stay up any longer. They would just slide down. A lot of loss of muscle mass, and what ends up happening, you know, your liver will start eating your muscles because it needs the protein. So it'll just start taking the muscle mass away from your body in order to feed your body, and that's a huge one that I really noticed. And I've started getting some of my muscle mass back over time, but I'm nowhere near as strong as I used to be, and I don't think I ever will be ever again. But I have started to regain some of that, and I attribute that to one. Is my consumption of protein. I consume a lot of protein every day. One thing is the protein keeps the ascites at bay, but not just that, allowing me to keep what muscle mass I do have that I've been able to restore. And that's basically just for me doing chores around the house, going on walks. I don't work out like lifting weights or anything like that. I can't. One, I'm just afraid to do anything like that, and another reason why I don't attempt to lift any weights as well is I have 2 hernias that were caused because of the ascites. I had lost so much muscle mass that my muscles were completely weakened in my abdomen, and then I had the ascites. I mean, like seriously, my stomach like poked out. Excuse me, I'll stand up here. My stomach poked out like that far. And when you have all that pressure, it just split the stomach muscles open. And I've talked about this, but one of the hernias, and I wasn't aware that I had 2 until I actually went and spoke with a surgeon about it. But one of the hernias was poking out like seriously like that far out of my stomach when I had all that pressure. And I've talked about this, but that was just so embarrassing. I was wearing like double XL shirts, and I wear small pants, small shirt, and I was wearing double XL, triple XLs, because my stomach was so enlarged. I couldn't wear anything else. Another thing that I had, and this is not one of the greatest things to talk about, but just diarrhea all the time. I would spend hours on the toilet in the mornings every single day, every single day. And that's another reason too why I didn't eat when I was a drinker. Because it seemed like any time that I ate anything, my stomach would instantly just start doing backflips on me. Start gurgling and all kinds of stuff, and I would be in the bathroom immediately. And if I had anything I had to do that day, if I needed to be anywhere, I couldn't eat, because I was too concerned about the fact that I was going to end up in a bathroom. And I just didn't want to. And I used to, when I was in the restaurant industry, I used to have to go to meetings a lot of times in other places, and I'd have to drive, hour, 2, 3 hours. And there were so many times that I had to pull over on the side of the interstate and run into the woods if I couldn't get to a bathroom in time. It just horrible. My bowels were always messed up. And, I should have known that something was going on. But, of course, my addictive mind, it's just you ate something wrong, or I have IBS. I told myself all types of things. I was self-diagnosing myself instead of actually speaking with a doctor, which is just a horrible thing to do. Another thing too as well, bruise easily. I still, to this day, still bruise very easily. If I bump into anything, I'll end up with a huge bruise. I bruise so much easier than I ever did. And another thing too is the bruises, they last for a very long time. Before, if I bruise myself maybe 2-3 days, the bruise will go away. Now, if I bruise myself, it'll last for 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks. I've had bruises that have lasted for up to a month that just won't go away. And it's not like I even hit myself that hard or bumped into a corner that hard. It's just, I bruise so easily now, and the bruising lasts for a very long time. Another thing that I dealt with is I started growing breast, which has stopped now. And I've never had that before, but I started noticing that I was growing breast. They were and it was like fatty underneath the skin, and it wasn't muscle. It was just like I was growing breast. And after speaking to my doctor about that, because I brought it to his attention, he told me that my estrogen levels were really, they were up there, which is one of the things that comes along with cirrhosis. Your estrogen levels do increase, which kind of leads me into another thing. I used to cry all the time, and still do, not as much as I did at one point in time. But there was a point in time, especially after my second time of getting sick, second time ending up in the hospital for a long stint, which is what I was talking about yesterday when I was in Columbia, South Carolina. I was up there for 2 weeks. That's the time they sent me home and told me that I had basically a year left to live. And I'm sure part of that had to do with just the depression, the negative thoughts, my ultimate demise. I mean, I was not happy about that. But I would just burst into tears for no reason. I was very, very, very emotional. There were so many times I remember my wife just trying to talk to me, and I would just start crying, and I couldn't stop. I would just be sobbing. And still to this day, I get pretty upset sometimes. It's not like anything's happened. I'll just start crying for no reason. I just know that I've gotten a lot more emotional since my diagnosis, and I don't know if it's just because sometimes I do dwell on the fact that what's coming, and what's happened, what I did to myself. Sometimes I can just beat myself up pretty bad, and get to thinking about it too much. I'll just get really upset. But at the same time, I never got upset like that in the past. So I know that it has to do with the fact that my estrogen levels are elevated now. Um, Another thing that I noticed, and this was actually after the initial time that I got sick and was in the hospital for 2 weeks, which was back in May of 2022. Like I said, I got out of the hospital, took off a week, and then went back to work right after that. And I was on a job one day, and I had my socks pulled. When I'm working, where I used to work, I always have my socks pulled up really high. I don't know why I've always done that, but I just always have pulled my socks up. I don't like them to kind of bunch up around the bottom. I always kind of like pulled them up, like as far as my socks can go. And I'm wearing pants. Nobody's seeing my socks. I just find it more comfortable to have my socks pulled up. And one day I was on a job. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I had my socks pulled up, and I don't remember what made me look at my legs, but I pulled my pants leg up for something. I might have been adjusting my socks, but I remember looking at my leg, and my if this is the sock, like there was like a layer of like sticking out like this over the sock. And I was really confused. I was like, what in the world is going on? And I pulled my sock down a little bit on both. And the area around the top of my calf where the sock was like overlapping. It almost looked kind of like a mushroom coming out. It was edema, and very bad in my legs, in both of them. And that, happened that day, and continue to happen almost every day, but it would go away. So it's one of those things, I just kind of like, whatever. Maybe I drank too much water. Once again, doing this thing with our head, always trying to come up with some excuse or reason why something's happened, so we don't have to think about what the real reason is. And that kept happening to me until I actually, finally went to the hospital the second time, and then found out all the things that were going wrong with me. But I had really bad edema in my legs, loss of sleep. I still suffer from that, but I was noticing up until my the initial time I went to the hospital and after, I just wasn't sleeping well at all. And especially after I'd removed the alcohol, I thought that my sleep would really improve. And it didn't. I would stay up all night long, and it'd be like 3 o'clock in the morning before I was finally, drifting off to sleep. And then I would sleep for like 2-3 hours maybe, and be right back up at 6 o'clock in the morning. And still to this day, I still have trouble sleeping sometimes. Very low blood pressure. Something I still have is really low blood pressure, and that was not the case for me until I got diagnosed. My blood pressure was high all the time back in the day, and now I have very low blood pressure. Actually, the doctors get really concerned a lot of times when I go in because my blood pressure is so low. And another thing I've had too is really high heart rate with the low blood pressure, which concerns them very much. Now my heart rate's kind of leveled out now, but there was a time when it was really high and my blood pressure was really low. Itchy skin, very itchy, especially in the palms of my hands and on my feet. Very, very itchy. To the point to where I would like scratch myself, like to the skin would be raw. And in the feet, my feet would itch so bad that it would like almost drive me crazy, because I would be trying to itch it, and I have very sensitive feet. I don't like anybody touching my feet. My feet are very, very ticklish. I hate it when anybody touches my feet or my toes because of how ticklish they are. My feet are so ticklish that like it hurts. So when I would try to scratch my feet, it was like this double whammy where I was like trying to scratch, but it would start to like tickle my feet, and it just drove me insane. And it was horrible. I haven't had much of that since in quite some time. Basically, since I had my TIPS procedure. I don't know how the two of those correlated with each other, but it hasn't been that bad since. The spider veins, I've talked about that, and I don't know if you can pick up this on camera, but I've got them really bad right here on the tip of my nose. Some people will get them on their chest and on their stomach. I don't have that. I've just gotten them on my face. But you'll have like a red dot, and then the little spider veins will kind of work their way out from there. It looks just like a little spider web. But I would know, and I talked about this in a previous video, but my brother had actually said something to me one day. I'd gone to his house, and this is back when I was still drinking. I was over there one day. I think we went over there to have dinner, and my brother just brought it up, and he goes, you know that those veins on your face, I can't remember what he said they call them, but he said a lot of people, alcoholics, have those on their face. And I was like, man, whatever. And come to find out, no, he was right. Redness in the palms of my hands. My palms would get really red. I don't have that problem anymore. You can see my palms, my hands, they're not red. But there was a point in time when they were. Feeling sick all the time. Just like a feeling of malaise, just feeling like you just have like a cold or like the flu all the time. Just don't feel well. And I still have that. There's a lot of days where I just don't feel well. It's one of those things that hasn't gone away. But if you have that like constant feeling of just feeling sick, that might be a sign. Stomach always hurt, and that is something I should have known a long time ago, to go see a doctor about that. My stomach hurt all the time, and when I'm telling you it hurt all the time, my stomach always hurt. If you talk to anybody who's close to me, they will tell you, and I still have a lot of stomach problems, but it's because of what all I've got going on. But before that, my stomach just always hurt, and I, of course, blamed it on other things. I have IBS, and I would tell people I have IBS. I actually was a vegetarian for almost 10 years, because I thought that was going to help ease my stomach problems, which I'm pretty sure that probably is another reason that I ended up as sick as I did, because I just didn't eat, and when I did, I didn't eat well. I was eating basically just vegetables most of the time, and you need protein, and especially if you're drinking. If you're just eating a salad and then drinking on top of it or whatever, or you drink and then eat a salad, that's just not enough. And that's all I ate. I ate a vegetarian diet for, like I said, for a decade. And my stomach just was always hurting. To the point that I almost couldn't go to work a lot of days. I would go, but I would suffer all day long. I was constantly taking Tums. I always had acid indigestion. Always had acid indigestion. I would be, I would like burp, and acid would come up all the time. To the point where I would almost like vomit. And it was constantly. I used to eat Tums all day long, because I would get such bad acid indigestion, which is something I don't really suffer from that bad. But I do take pantoprazole twice a day. I take it in the morning and at night. But I don't know. I'm sure that probably has helped it a lot. But also, I don't drink anymore. Back when I used to drink, man, I always had indigestion all the time. Especially after my diagnosis, after I got sick, it was really, really bad. Another thing that I had too was complete loss of appetite, and that happened before my diagnosis. I just was never hungry, never, and it's been quite some time since I've really had an appetite. I just gotta be completely honest with you. leading up to my diagnosis, I had lost my appetite. I felt nauseous all the time, and even after my diagnosis, I have to force feed myself pretty much every single day, because I just don't feel like eating. I have no desire to eat, absolutely none. I don't know what I can do about that, but like I said, complete loss of appetite. And one of my favorite things in the world to eat are cheeseburgers. I love cheeseburgers. And if somebody was to put one in front of me, I would just look at it, and it's whatever to me anymore. I just really don't care about food. And I was in the food industry my whole entire life. I love food. It's a passion of mine. And I just have no desire for it. I will spend hours cooking food and won't eat any of it because I just don't feel like it. Often food makes me feel nasty even thinking about eating. I'll get nauseous even thinking about eating a meal. Another thing I had as well is encephalopathy, which is confusion because your ammonia levels are high. That happened after my diagnosis. And to be quite honest with you, I don't remember a lot of that. My wife's the one that picked up on it because I was getting really confused. I just didn't know what was going on. It's really, really frightening to have encephalopathy. So if you're having any confusion or anything like that, definitely please go see a doctor. And especially if somebody else is mentioning it to you, like, are you okay? You don't seem right. You're not thinking correctly. Because you don't know. It's not something that you can pick up on, really. Please go see a doctor. And that's about it, guys, as far as the symptoms that I noticed before and after my diagnosis. And I think that pretty much covers everything. I'm sure there's probably a couple things I'm leaving out I just couldn't think of, but that's pretty much it. So with that said, if you have any of these symptoms, please go see a doctor, and don't do what I did. Don't waste a bunch of time making up excuses and looking on WebMD and doing all these things and thinking that that you're diagnosing what's going on. Go to a doctor and have some blood work done. It's better to be safe than it is to be sorry. And there are things they can do for you, especially if you have fatty liver that can be totally reversed. The liver is a very resilient organ. From what I understand, they can remove up to 75% of your liver or 80% of your liver, and it'll grow back. So it's when you break that cusp of cirrhosis. Once you get to the point where it's scarred like that, there is no turning back from there. I've had a lot of people tell me, oh, there's these things, whatever. That's great. If that's what you believe, that's okay. From what I understand, there is no cure. No one's talked to me about any cures for it yet, other than having another liver. But like I said, if you have fatty liver, that can be totally reversed, and it's better to know. And then you can start changing your diet, removing the alcohol, all kinds of things, and you could go back to having a normal, healthy liver again. But you need to catch it sooner than later. Please do that for me. Don't end up like I am. It's horrible, and like I said, it can be totally reversed. But other than that, guys, that's it for today. Oh, and last but not least, I just had this little statistic. I can't remember if I talked about this in the beginning of the video or not, but I was listening to a podcast yesterday, and they were talking. It was a Harvard scientist that was talking about cirrhosis. And since COVID, liver disease in America has increased 25%. That's a huge number since COVID. Now, it was just, 2 years ago? these are really, really scary numbers, and you know, a lot of people really picked up on their drinking during that period of time, and that's why they're seeing a huge increase in younger people in their 20s and early 30s ending up with cirrhosis. I'm in my 40s. I'm in my mid 40s. I found out when I was 42, but there are people much younger than me who are ending up with this, and I'm young. So please, if you have any symptoms, please get checked out. Like I said, you can turn it around. So with that said, guys, that's it for today. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Like I said, I will try to get to the comments here in just a little bit. I just wanted to get this video done and started uploading so I can get up a little bit earlier than I did yesterday. But with that said, guys, y'all have a great day. I'll see y'all in tomorrow's live video. For any of you guys who can't make it, there will be a recording. You can go back and watch it later on. So if you can't make it, it's going to be there for you to check out. So with that said, y'all have a great day, and until tomorrow, I will see y'all then.